encouraging rookie year, Jacques Villeneuve and his Canadian Tire team were back in 1985 for another season of Indy Car racing in the tough championship auto racing series held all over North America. The major team players were David Billis, president of Performance Engineering of Barrie, Ontario. Bob Fernley, manager of about 15 full and part-time crew members. Chief mechanic Larry Curry. Peter Mackenzie Saunders, team coordinator. Chuck Matthews, engineering consultant and racing strategist. Celine Villeneuve, assistant timer, and wife of the star of the show, Jacques Villeneuve of St. Cuthbert, Quebec, the only Canadian to ever contest the kart championship. 1985 got off to a roaring start at Long Beach, California. The old Lion and '84 champion, Mario Andretti, started off in the lead from the pole position. Using expert skill on this road course, Jacques Villeneuve had slipped the Canadian Tire team's new Indy Car into second place by lap 5. He ran solidly in second until lap 39, when unfortunately, he ran low on fuel just past the pit entrance. He managed to limp the car around the track, but in the process lost 2 full laps to Andretti. Then, with 30 laps to go, Danny Sullivan passed Andretti for the lead, but he too ran out of gas on the very last lap and finished third. Andretti won $126,000. Emerson Fittipaldi finished second, and Villeneuve 7th.
Well, yes, I think we proved like we did last year in Vegas. We proved that we're capable of running with them, but I guess we need just a little more fine-tuning to our hack, and then we'll get going pretty good.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway, home of the world's biggest single-day sporting event. 2 cars painted in the Canadian Tire Racing Team colors qualified for the Indy 500. Villeneuve would not be one of the drivers here. One of his cars was nearly destroyed in an accident caused by a suspension failure during track practice. Since then, he had not been driving aggressively enough on this legendary oval. Instead, veteran Johnny Parsons, who had driven in 9 races here over the years, would take the wheel. The other car would be driven by the team's longtime friend and rival, Jim Crawford of Scotland.
I'm very pleased to be part of such a sophisticated and professional racing team as the Canadian Tire Racing Team. They definitely have their act together, and the car is very fast. I'm getting more used to it as time goes by, and I'm sure we'll be very competitive come race day.
Race day. Parsons and Crawford started side by side from the 9th row. Only 33 cars out of 79 entries had qualified. The field's average speed, 208 miles per hour. Pancho Carter started from the pole position, but for more than half the race, Mario Andretti dominated a contest of crashes and dropouts where only 12 cars finished. Then Sullivan made a desperate bid to pass Andretti on the inside. The car got loose. Andretti swerved, and Sullivan survived a heart-stopping 360-degree spin at over 200 miles per hour. Sullivan later said that if he could get away with a stunt like that, he knew he could win the race. And win he did, beating Mario Andretti to the checkered flag by only 2.4 seconds. Sullivan collected nearly $700,000 of the $4 million purse for his victory at the 69th Indy 500. It was a great day for the Canadian Tire team, too. The veteran Parsons drove a spark tactical race and was rewarded with a 5th-place finish worth $130,000. It was an unprecedented success for a new team in its first Indy 500. The Indy Car circuit is a challenging 15-race mix of ovals and road courses. The big-name teams and drivers attracted record crowds and raced for record prize money in 1985. Purses totaled over $17 million. Attendance grows every year, to the point where this kart circuit is the recognized challenger to Formula One racing. Over 1 million fans attended Indy Car races in '85. Television coverage constantly expands, with races satellited across North and South America. The Indy 500 alone has an audience of 100 million around the world. That audience attracts the sponsors. This is the big leagues, where dollars are as important as horsepower. A dozen of America's largest corporations are spending upwards of $10 million each per season. So sponsorship money is plentiful, and every race is swarming with souvenirs purchased by adoring fans. Villeneuve was back in the driver's seat for the next 3 races, but on the Milwaukee, Wisconsin 1-mile oval and at Portland, Oregon's road race, his car sprung an oil leak. Mario Andretti won both races. At New York, Villeneuve had charged up to 4th when he tangled with Dick Simon and was out of the race. Al Unser Jr. took the prize. Cleveland, Ohio. Things started looking better. This race had 4 different leaders, including Villeneuve. On lap 2, Jacques, who had started 5th, past pole sitter Bobby Rahal, and then diced at 130 miles per hour with series leader Mario Andretti for first place until lap 28, when he made his first pit stop. The Performance Engineering crew from Barrie, Ontario changed 3 tires and added fuel in 20 seconds. Excellent time. Out on the course again, Al Unser Jr. attempted to pass, and Villeneuve spun out. He recovered nicely, but had to pit immediately for fresh tires. Andretti's car caught fire, but he was okay in this accident-free race. The winner was Al Unser Jr., who had also won last weekend in New Jersey. Jeff Brabham was second. Villeneuve ran in third until the last corner. After 88 laps, Al Unser Sr. sped past him as Villeneuve ran out of gas. So Villeneuve, in his Canadian Tire March 85C, finished fourth, his best result ever in kart, with 2/3 of the season remaining.
We're going to have to find out a way of running with less fuel, because other guys are doing it, and we have a problem making it. You know, I ran out of fuel in the last lap, and I got past. I should have finished third, and then that's really, a bummer.
Coming off this strong fourth-place finish at Cleveland, the Canadian Tire team had high hopes for the prestigious Provini 200 kart race on the 4-mile road course at Road America, Wisconsin. David Billis reflected on the struggle so far.
We've come from being a very small team up to a team with 10 full-time people, 15 including part-time. We're no longer considered as the backyard fellows. We're now as slick as any team. We can run as fast as any team. We have almost the same resources as the other teams. And I really am proud of our group to have been able to come from nothing to where we are now. I think it's just fantastic.
Our man was in fourth position on the grid, but a strong finish would not be easy on this course with such formidable competition. At the start, Indy 500 winner Danny Sullivan was on the pole, with Bobby Rahal trailing Sparks in second and Villeneuve in fourth. Pit crews changed from racing slicks to rain tires. But the rain still caused many accidents and spins, including the leader at halfway, Al Unser Jr. So Villeneuve took the lead here on lap 37 of the 50-lap 200-mile race. He had a heart-stopping spin out, but managed to stay in front at speeds up to 180 miles per hour. His second pit stop was as fast as his first. The Canadian Tire crew spent less time in the pits than any other crew, which was a real factor in winning this contest. With sporadic rain showers, being on the right tires at the right time was a critical tactical consideration. Canadian Tire played the game to perfection and came out on top. Villeneuve was still ahead of the pack. The lone Canadian finished a brilliant tactical race aided by his entire crew. It was his first IndyCar race win and the first by a Canadian ever. Finishing second was Michael Andretti. Third went to former world champion, the great Alan Jones of Australia. It's only Jacques' second year in Indy racing as well. Our team was happy, but not surprised by the overdue victory.
You can see the excitement coming from Jacques. He really used his head today. Losing in rain, he held off Michael Andretti. Alan Jones, by the way, was in third place, but Jerry is down.
I think it's just an evolution. We have been getting better with a 7th finish, a 5th place, a 4th place. Things have been getting better all year, and I think this is finally the culmination.
And Canadian Tire has just won its first IndyCar race. A victory in championship auto racing is thrilling, but let's look at some of the costs of competing with the big boys.
A sufficient amount of tires to cover the entire field. We brought approximately 900 tires, and we're using just about all of those. A good one-car team would probably go through approximately 10 to 12 sets. That's, you know, with all the practice and qualifying, and they have a sufficient number of sets for the race itself. Buying up tires for a specific weekend can get to be fairly expensive. If you look at, say, just look at a single set of tires, the front runs about $150 and the rear is about $175. So you multiply that out by the number of sets that you use during the weekend, let's just say 10, and you're looking at quite a hefty tire bill. So it's by no means an inexpensive proposition. You spend quite a bit of money over the course of a year on just tires itself.
Major corporate sponsors, including Canadian Tire, would spend at least $3 million to run in this series by the time the last race would run in November of '85. The chassis alone of the 1985 March costs $250,000. The 10th race of the 1985 Indy Car Series was held September 1st at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, 2 hours south of Cleveland. Hometown boy Bobby Rahal started from the pole position, and Villeneuve, starting 6th, was trying for his second consecutive Indy Car win. But Rahal dominated the race from the start. Indy 500 champion Danny Sullivan held second until a long pit stop dropped him behind reigning kart champion Mario Andretti. Canadian Ludwig Heimrath Jr. got off to a good start, but spun off the course on his 12th lap. He was out of the race. Jacques by now was holding a steady 4th place. Pit stops made the final difference in this race. The Canadian Tire March lost its clutch as Villeneuve tried to leave, so the team had to roll it back and restart. They lost valuable time because it took 28 seconds. Jacques was still in 4th place, however, and then a lucky break for the Canadian. Bad luck for Andretti. The veteran ran off the course in the second last lap with a blown rear tire, moving Sullivan into 2nd behind Rahal, and Villeneuve into 3rd. The Canadian was on the victory stand again.
We're pleased. You know, we were starting 6th. Our warm-up wasn't too good yesterday, and but we were capable of running pretty fast in the race, and everything did work pretty good. The guys did a super job. The car was well all day, and it paid off.
Next weekend, Villeneuve would have the hometown advantage as the Indy Car circuit moved to Saint-Air, Quebec. But he entered this Molson Indy race in 7th place with a realistic shot at top 5 in the kart standings, so the pressure was really on.
You know, when I'm in the car, when I'm around my teams and people that I know, friends, things like that, it doesn't really bother me. I don't really feel the pressure. It's when, you know, press or fans are around you and things like that, then you start to feel there is pressure or attention on you. But otherwise, when I'm in the car doing what I have to do, it doesn't bother me.
This cool Canadian and his crew had won a lot of respect by now from other drivers on this grueling circuit.
Jacques is a very admired race car driver with all of us and myself. They do a super job. He does a super job, and he's very polite, and I like him very much.
Jacques is very good, and he's showing that he's right up in there. Again, he's another one that could pull this thing off.
How is the Canadian Tire team regarded amongst the front-running teams like your own?
Well, I think it's a first-class team. Villeneuve obviously is a good driver. He sat on the pole at Phoenix the last race. He's a good road racer. He really hasn't had a lot of experience on the big ovals. He had a problem, remember, at Indy last year. But I see him with a little experience, and he's got a quality group of guys working on the car. Car looks good. We're glad to have him in the series.
Villeneuve started in the middle of the pack in the 7th row. Jim Crawford, who was driving the Canadian Tire backup car here, blew his turbocharger in practice, but managed to qualify well for the race. This race proved to be one of the most hair-raising of the year. Of the 26 cars vying for the $500,000 purse, only 9 were left by the end of the race. By the time there were 16 laps left of this 200-lap race, Villeneuve had brilliantly worked his way up to second position. The crowd was going wild. Maybe a Canadian would win here in Quebec, the only Canadian race on the kart schedule. But fate played a cruel trick just then. The Canadian Tire car collided with Bobby Rahall's machine in a tricky passing maneuver. It was a spectacular crash. Both drivers emerged unhurt, but of course they were out of contention. This wild race ended up with many casualties, including Roberto Guerrero, Emerson Fittipaldi, Arnie Lyondek, Al Unser Sr., and Jim Crawford driving the other Canadian Tire car. Pancho Carter was proclaimed the winner, but Johnny Rutherford successfully protested that Carter had accelerated on a yellow light, so Rutherford became the official champion of this race. Our crew was philosophical about the DNF, did not finish.
If you run up front with the driver, you are going to tear up equipment and you're going to have DNFs. I don't think there is one team out here this year that hasn't tore up a car, either in testing or racing, or haven't DNF'd in a race this whole season. That is part of it. That's how it is. And the harder you run, the more stuff you tear up. But if you don't run hard, you don't run up front. And that's not what the sponsor wants, and that's not what the team wants. So we run for it every single race as hard as we can go and let the cards fall where they will.
Would you make the same move again if you had it to do over again?
Well, definitely. I think you've seen Brabham today make a move on Junior that didn't pay off. You know, those things happen. It's just part of the deal. So I might risk the same thing in the future, too. It's just it's racing accident. You want to get the first place. You want to beat the other guy. You take the risk. Sometimes it pays, sometimes it doesn't. So it's a risk you have to take sometimes.
On the kart circuit, it was the Monterey Grand Prix at Laguna Seca in California. It began with last year's winner, Bobby Rahal, leading from pole position. It was the most competitive road race of the Indy Car season so far, as the lead changed several times over the 300-kilometer distance. Mario Andretti blew a turbo with 6 laps remaining and did not finish. It was a disappointing day also for Jacques Villeneuve and the Canadian Tire team, who had to drop out with ignition trouble in the 20th lap of this 98-lap event. Bobby Rahal, after losing the lead on lap 69, regained it with 13 laps to go and hung on to take the checkered flag. Al Unser Sr. was second, and his son Al Jr. third. Unser Jr. now led the championship by 3 points over his dad with just 2 races to go.
We changed the motor last night because it was getting a little hole, and this one this morning didn't want to run good at all. It started not making any power at all in the first lap. But we stopped twice trying to fix it, and we couldn't, so we had to back out of it. We don't know what was wrong with it.
There are times when the driver's human, he'll make a mistake, and there's times the mechanics are human and we make mistakes, and it's happened both ways this year. When we lost as a team. When we won as a team. There was no one to point the finger at in any particular situation, whether it be the Sanair incident or whether it be us DNFing at Milwaukee. The fans, you know, fans are fans. When you're winning, they love you. When you're losing, you're not their favorite person, so we can't control that.
Fans are fickle, but they're also fashionable. You see everything at the track, from barebacks and shorts. Crews are sweating in fireproof suits and knee pads. Beauty queens are everywhere. And anything goes in T-shirts and headgear. Including the unexpected and the practical. Coolers are popular. Pith helmets and cowboy hats. They love their special passes. Walkie-talkies and headsets are a must. The bigger the camera, the more important the press. And the bigger the cooler, the bigger the fan. Phoenix International Speedway, Arizona. The most closely fought kart championship ever turned into a family affair between Al Unser and his son, Al Jr. here. Although Al Sr. started from pole position, he was trailing his 23-year-old son by 2 points in the overall kart standings. Bobby Rahal led the first 3 laps until this accident. It involved Johnny Rutherford and brought out the yellow flag. With the track cleared, Unser Sr. moved to the front on lap 37. From that point on, he never looked back. It was another disappointing event for the Canadians. Handling problems and a stalled engine combined to slow down the team. Jacques finished 13th. After 150 miles, Al Unser Sr. took his first victory of the year, 1 lap ahead of his son, who finished 2nd. Mario Andretti was 3rd and Danny Sullivan 4th. Al had now moved into a 3-point lead over Little Al for the overall kart championship.